Today we have 5 tips for buying a starter home instead of your dream home. 5 things that if you're in that situation, you're going to want to listen to until the very end. I think this is a really important discussion and conversation to be had right now.
Yeah. Growing up, the way like we as a family purchased houses was we didn't really talk about the money side of it. We had a roof over our head, and this is our home. This is where we stayed. We never really sold off. I mean, I lived in 2 houses my whole life. I've already owned more than 2 houses just in my 6 years of marriage and adulthood. So this is something I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily understand or comprehend. Because they feel like that home that they first buy is going to be that forever home because maybe that was your family or lifestyle or the only thing that you saw. But in today's real estate market, I mean, you are able to take really, really big advantages of your equity, your sweat equity, and some opportunities that sellers are willing to put out there for you, especially if you can find a unique real estate structured deal. So I deal with it when I'm talking to a lot of buyers, and it's like, I want this, I want that, and 2 acres on this view lot. And I'm like, how old are you? How much money do you have currently? Because this is going to cost you like over $1 million right now. And so unless you have real estate things to leverage or trade off with, sometimes you got to start smaller.
This is definitely a topic that we've seen benefits from firsthand. Like you said, starting smaller. Our first ever house, there was some, trade-off, I guess you could say. It was on a side of town we did not want to live on. I actually said, I will live anywhere except for this side of town. But it was the area that had the lowest home prices. And we knew, okay, like this is what's going to get our foot in the door in real estate. We obviously can't say, predict, exactly how long we'll be here because of finances and the real estate market and all of that. But we knew it wouldn't be forever, and so it gave us the ability to be building equity. And without that first house, we wouldn't have been able to buy the second house, which was just a little bit nicer and in a side of town we wanted to live on, which would led us to the third house, which was a little bit even nicer than that one. And that's just the beauty of owning real estate, like buying and selling. Mm-hmm. But I know even for a buyer in particular who, say you're somebody who you already bought that first house and maybe it's, a little too small for you and you want more room, or you want to move to a different side of town or whatever that looks like for you, but you don't want to move until you buy that forever home. It's like maybe you could just find something that's just a little bit, I know the moving process isn't great, but maybe you could find something that's, use that equity from that first house and find something that it doesn't have to be like your forever home, but just a little bit better to fit your needs, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then eventually you'll get to that 5 acres, whatever the heck that is for you.
Man, this thing that's called life, it goes on, for 70, 80, 90 years at times. And so us being adults, say you're over 18, you've had that job for over a year, you got that W-2 employment stub, you're able to go out and actually buy a house and purchase it. And a lot of people don't understand there are trades with real estate, and these dream properties, as some people would put it, maybe you just hate moving and that's why you're only willing to buy one property. I get that.
Some people hate moving. It's true.
But the thing is, I mean, there's some real advantages here, especially in your younger adulthood years. You can really take advantage being a single individual, I would say, if you're able to just supply yourself with a roof over your head in ownership. And that's really the first step I think we should be talking about today is what's going to get you into ownership as a first-time home buyer, maybe a second time, whatever. But that starter home price point, I think it's really important right now because there's fear out there in the market. There's fear of price drops. There's fear of overpaying for a lot of buyers. A lot of people ask me, do you think I'm overpaying for this, Spencer? And this was back in 2020, 2019 when
I heard that all the time back then.
Were just so hard to even get under contract. And I said, well, I think we're just fortunate enough to get an accepted offer here. What do you think? Because over the last 4 years, now we've seen price increases, 16, 20, 15. Over this year, it's been 5 to 6% with no decreases. And that is called taking advantage of the market. Yeah. by just simply putting a roof over your head 4 years ago. So that
Exactly.
starter home price, I just don't think you could really say that you're overpaying necessarily to put yourself in a bad position.
Absolutely. And like realtors always love to say, I always see this like post from realtors online is that, what do they say? Oh, if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest.
100% post.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I know it's hard because home prices have gotten so unaffordable for some people, but it is true. Like rent has also gotten pretty unaffordable. Yes.
I mean, think about it. Like you buy a 4-bedroom house, starter home, like under 1,800 square feet, single story, and you just want to move on with your life. You're on a bad side of town. Maybe you want to get on, live somewhere else. You could rent out by the room, like at least $800 a room.
Yeah.
8 times 4. I mean, imagine what that's like compared to your mortgage. You're definitely making money at that point.
Right.
And you're actually capturing income, paying all your property taxes, and then reevaluating and saying, what can I roll my cash flow? What am I actually making every month into my next investment that I want to be buying in my next location? I think that's when real estate gets really fun.
Right. And another thing with this is, off kind of our topic, but to go along with, first time buyers, that fear of buying and just pulling the trigger and, wondering, am I overpaying, trying to time the market? Every single time we have purchased a home, it has been what literally every headline, every realtor, every office has said. It is the tippy top of the market. Home prices are about to plummet.
It does seem
even
like
in
that,
like
right?
2015, people were saying that when I was a new agent. Every single time people were telling us, you are overpaying. You're paying that much for your house. And also every time we have gained more equity than we could have ever imagined. And now I know obviously the last few years have been so crazy equity rich, like an unhealthy level of like homes appreciating. But what I'm trying to say here is you just can't time the market, and it's better to own real estate and hold it if you're able to than to just keep on renting.
Yeah, but for the sake of things, we're going to be talking about that starter home start sales price. We're not talking about $700-800 million home, dream homes.
No. Nope.
We're talking about like these affordable first homes that are out there. These deals are out there. I was just on the phone with the seller today in Portland. And I mean, to me, that starter home price is going to be anywhere from $325 to $450. I would say the average sales price in our area is about $435, somewhere in that ballpark. And that's going to be your traditional 3-bed, 2-bath, single story, 1,500 square feet home. Not a big lot. Usually built 1990s or newer. But there's even 3-bed, 1-baths that are going for just below, $425 to $390. It just seems like things are so expensive, but what else is out there for you to buy? It's really the ideal time to go and negotiate and work a deal in these home prices.
Right. All right. Let's get into these 5 tips. So the first one is know that buying a starter home, like we have kind of been talking about already, is a trade-off. You will have to settle for missing out on some features that you really want in your dream home, but you just have to decide what's most important to me. Is home ownership more important to me, and maybe just making some sacrifices?
Here's a good idea.
What matters
Let's
right now?
put some of your features that you must have, for instance, a walk-in shower that's a rain shower coming over you, not just that standard shower coming out of the wall. Maybe update it yourself and install one. Do a DIY project. I'm sure you can figure something out like that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that this piece of real estate you're buying, I mean, now you want to shut off your water and stuff. But what I'm saying is you can do little projects like that and make this home more livable for you without spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 more just because, you're not on a city property, you're on 2 acres. You know what I mean? A
big one I see, a big like trade-off that I see from first-time buyers is if they want to live in Salem, but they end up buying somewhere, a different town on the outskirts because prices are just a little bit more affordable.
Which is surprising, though, because these little outskirt towns that I'm noticing...
And I'm not talking about Turner.
I know, right? But like,
because they're not cheap anymore.
Just for our area, these smaller towns that are outskirts Salem, I mean, 15, 20-minute drives even, these prices just are elevating tremendously. Yes. But the inventory, that's the biggie, is like what is really out there to buy and what's affordable to buy. Because think about it, people are having to trade off their current interest rate, say it's at a 3%. Well, they must have a ton of equity in order to be selling right now, if they're willing to sell, to trade off for a new interest rate or buying something full in cash, or just getting out of Dodge, as I would say, and moving somewhere like Kansas or Oklahoma.
Right, Kansas. So the next tip is, like Spencer just said, DIY skills can be really helpful with a starter home. And when you do these things that, say you walk into this house and you're like, it's what fits into my budget, but I'm really not that excited about it. There's so many things you could do that are pretty minimal that will really just change up the entire feel of the home. And if you're able to use those DIY skills, then that can definitely come in handy. But every time you do something to the home, well, not every time, but hopefully you're increasing the value. That's the goal, at least. Do a good job at it.
That's one of the things.
So if you're like me, don't DIY, actually. So you would probably decrease the value.
Yeah. You can definitely decrease the value. I mean, it's so heartbreaking when I'm in a for sale by owner or listing appointment, and their home's been sitting for 40 plus days. They're at a certain sales price because they think their home's worth this much, and I just start pointing out things where I'm just like, it doesn't devalue you by any means, like catastrophically, but this definitely does hurt you visually or cosmetically. And they're like, wait, hold on, Spence, I just redid that 6 months ago. That was mean. That's brand new. The word brand new doesn't necessarily mean money. Just because you put a brand new table top in your kitchen doesn't make your kitchen now worth $5,000 to $10,000 more. Just because you decided to pour brand new concrete countertops that you thought were really cool in your kitchen does not make your kitchen $5,000 to $10,000 more. In fact, if you didn't do it right and the concrete's terrible and it's discolored, or you decide to paint a weird color scheme on it, yet it's still brand new, that could actually hurt you tremendously. And some people, they don't necessarily understand that. And it's a very touchy topic for me to talk about with sellers, because I understand it took you time, effort, and you're excited maybe about this project you did that you at the time and still do think it's adding value to your home. But I just want to advise, be careful when it comes to DIY projects.
That is true.
You can make or break a home. I mean, if
true.
You're clearly unqualified to do a job, don't do it.
Yeah, that's
Don't
very
do it.
True.
Get a friend to help you. Don't just do it solely. Get somebody else in there to help you.
Yes, that's good advice. All right, next tip is a maintenance and repair budget is a must. When you're buying a starter home, that might not be something that you think of. Now, of course, another pro of buying a smaller type starter home is that the smaller, the less square footage in the home, the less expensive generally it's going to be to do upgrades, that type of thing. But when it comes to maintenance and repairs, anytime you're a homeowner, things happen. Having that budget is important for that.
Yeah, and I'm always looking at like those big items in a home purchase: the roof, the foundation, your furnace, your ductwork, the plumbing. I'd say there's like 5 to 7 items. You really got to make sure structurally makes sense. The home has good integrity bones. And then all the other stuff, cosmetics, I mean, that's stuff you can probably do over time. But if you're buying a starter home and there's still major fixes and repairs and you're already feeling stretched, that might be a home where you want to negotiate more on, or at least include a home warranty on and have the sellers pay for that. I think having a home warranty attached to the home is sometimes really, really beneficial.
Especially for first-time buyers. That's a really, really good point. The next this isn't really a tip, it's more of just a statement, is that a lot of these starter homes, like we were talking about with all the appreciation that we've seen buyers purchase within the last year, have already gone up in value. And so that's just something to be aware of, is that there's, a need and a demand for these starter homes. Owning a home can be a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it is so worth it. So,
it's awesome. I mean, being able, for instance, you and I going out our garage and walking around our neighborhood on a nice sunny day. I mean, sometimes you can't do that in apartment complex areas. Sometimes you just don't live in a side of town you're able to do that. With home ownership, you're specifically choosing where you get to live. And I mean, here in America, freedom, that's a pretty big deal, right? And there's a lot of things going on in this world. And for you to be able to actually own something, I think there's just so much pride into that, and just value for you as a human right, we have access and availability for. So that's what we want to do. We want to help you guys as our new clients. If you don't know where to start, contact us. I got lenders, one lender specifically who I always start with, and then we go down the rabbit hole of who's going to work best for you if he didn't work out for you. But we want to get you started. And if you've been shut down before, maybe months back or even right now currently, you've been denied approval, let us know. We have multiple lenders for that specific reason. We want to help you get into a home and stay in a home that you can afford. That's the biggie. And we're still doing it with first-time home buyers. We're doing it with zero-down loan programs. We're doing it conventionally, zero-down loan programs. That's a big thing that I've been noticing is the lending industry has really been stepping up to make it affordable for homeowners to get a roof over their head.
Yes. So like Spencer said, I will put our contact information below. So if you are thinking about buying or selling, we would absolutely love to help you out. We do come on here every single week and talk all about real estate. So be sure to come back next week and feel free to comment below or shoot us an email with any real estate related questions or video suggestions that you have. And we'll see you next week.